Agency meeting to order June 1st, 2017 at 6:32. Please rise for the invocation by Member James, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, everyone. Dear Lord, we thank you for another day. We realize you didn't have to wake us up this morning, but you did. And we realize it was you, Lord, and not the alarm clock sitting on the night table next to the bed. But we thank you, Lord. We thank you for getting us through the day, and we thank you for allowing us to accomplish those things that you had laid out for us to get done today. We thank you for allowing us to gather here again tonight to do what's required for the betterment of the city of High Springs. We thank you, Lord. We ask that you continue to guide us, continue to let us be a cohesive group, and continue to let things go smoothly. These things we ask in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Chair Jones.
Here.
Vice Chair Williams. Absent. Member Evans.
Here.
Member James.
Here.
Member Jameson.
Here.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is passed. Next is the approval of the minutes for April 6th, 13th, and 27th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of April 6th, 13th, and 27th with the additional page to the minutes of April 27th that we've been distributed.
Well, I wondered about that.
I do too.
Did we get paid?
Yes.
Yeah, it's up there on, it's here on the
I
guide.
see it. Okay. Very good. Second?
I have a question first.
Oh, okay.
As usual, it's probably just me. But on the minutes for April 6th, paragraph 2, page 3, when we made those changes, did we make it specifically CRA board or CRA directory, or did we leave it just the way it's stated here?
Can you scroll down to those minutes?
What paragraph were you in?
Second paragraph on page 3 for April 6th. See, it says CRA board or CRA directory, or director, I'm sorry. Did we make that specific, or did we leave it one or the other?
I think we just left it that way whether it was the director or one of the board members would get it done.
I believe so.
Like say if Amanda was
One of the
out,
board members?
yeah, say if Amanda was out of town, would you get it done? It didn't have to be specifically her doing it, or vice versa.
But not the board in its entirety, just a member.
Just the CRA.
All right, like I said, I just like to make sure for me. Okay, I second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of April 6th, 13th, and 27th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is passed. Okay, the first item of business is to discuss and consider residential facade grant requests.
Yes. I wanted to let you know how much money we had available for you to give out tonight. We have about $21,000 left, and we have requests for a little over $11,000. This is our last facade grant application. Applications for this fiscal year, unless you would like to do another set. So it's about $21,000 we have available, and our requests are a little over $11,000. And so if there's no questions about that, we can call up our first applicant. Mr. and Mrs. Shoup are here. Come on up. And they are requesting $5,000 for a new roof. So I have met with Mr. Shoup, and we went over and did a site review for his house. As you can see in the pictures, the roof is very old, and is well over 50 years, and what they are asking to do is to replace the metal roof with a new metal roof, so there would be no change in the way that it looks from what it looks now. Mr. and Mrs. Shoup's home is not in the historic district, so it does not require a certificate of appropriateness. And we have reviewed everything, and I am fine with recommending the Shoups for the grant.
Okay. Just for my own edification, I'm not used to these new addresses. Where is 18?
Do you want to give the old address? I can give you where it is. It's behind the Presbyterian Church.
Okay, that's good enough. Anybody have any questions or concerns? I make a motion. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. But I don't know anything whatsoever about roof. Absolutely nothing. But when I looked at this, I don't have a problem with it. I just have a question. It says you're going to replace the roof, but you're not going to replace the front porch or the rear. I don't quite understand.
I think Mr. Shoup can answer that question.
We are going to replace the front porch roof. The rear roof is newer metal. It doesn't need to be replaced. The rest of it is original.
Okay.
See how they're attached? They're not attached to the roof. I'm assuming that's probably...
They're at a different level.
That's the back right here.
Yeah, that's a different roof, and it's probably been redone or added on since that was there.
Okay.
So they're not redoing that part, basically.
Okay. Okay, well, like I told y'all, I don't know.
This is how we learn.
That's how we...
And all of these grants have also been reviewed by our building official, so he's also signed off on these.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Make a motion to approve the maintenance issue grant request for up to $5,000.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the request by Mr. and Ms. Shoup. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next grant applicant is Mr. Gardner. And Mr. Gardner's face may look familiar. This is his second year applying. If you guys haven't seen what he's done to the house, I really encourage you to go look at how beautiful it is. We are getting a lot of return on our investment with Mr. Gardner.
I got pictures if you.
Oh, you got pictures. Go ahead. You can give them to Jenny. So Mr. Gardner is asking for something similar. He is asking for a new roof. He will also be putting on a metal roof that is similar to what it is now. He is not in the historic district and does not require a certificate of appropriateness either. So the pictures he's showing you are the before and afters so far. So it looks like a brand new house. It's gorgeous.
We're still trying to keep some of the charm.
Didn't I see you out there tonight?
Yes, I'm out there every day.
Yes.
Okay.
Lots of sweat equity.
Everything,
It looks
paperwork.
nice.
Everything, the paperwork is in. Again, the building official has looked at this, and Mr. Gardner is aware of the permits that will be required, and he's been fulfilling everything so far, so we have no doubts that he will get the applicable permits.
Questions?
I don't even have any this time. Even with that, I'll even make the motion.
Okay.
That the request for Mr. Gardner be approved.
Second.
Do we have to put the money amount?
Yes,
As far as
As
what?
requested.
as requested. Yeah, that's fine too.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the grant requested by Mr. Gardner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those nay, opposed nay. Motion is passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, good job.
Thank you. And you see it at Christmas.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll come by, I promise.
Our next applicant is Joanne Tremblay. Unfortunately, she was not able to get off of work on time, so I will be answering any questions on her behalf to the best of my ability. I met with Ms. Tremblay, and we looked at it, and she is requesting to replace windows. She did ask to change her application from 3 sets of windows to 2 after she reviewed the windows at that one right there, the 3 windows. She did not like the options that they gave her, so she has withdrawn that portion of her application. So the new amount she's asking for is $389.46, and she will be replacing the windows herself as the owner, and that's why the quotes are high, because that's if a contractor puts them in. So with her putting them in alone, the cost of the window and the wood to attach it is only she's asking $389.46, with the total cost being $778.92. And these windows are in desperate need of replacement. They do not open or close. They just stay there, and they're actually were replaced by the owner previous to her, and they are trailer windows that were put in, so they're in desperate need to be replaced.
When I read it, it said jealousy windows. I said, my Lord, how old are these ones?
Well, she's been in the house since '92, and it was before her.
All right. No comment?
Any comments?
Make a motion to approve Ms. Tremblay's grant request up to $389.46.
Did you say second? Okay, it has been moved and seconded that the grant by Mrs. Tremblay be approved as requested. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is passed.
And our final applicant tonight is Beverly Renfro. And she is requesting $1,318 for paint and to replace the attic vent in her attic. And I have the colors. Ms. Renfro was undecided about the colors, so we have the colors tonight, and she can explain to you where each one is going to go.
And do you have a picture of the house too?
Yes.
The so the terracotta, well, so that's brick, and then that is a screened-in room with some wood on it, and maybe it's C111 or something. But I wanted to paint that on the lower level to blend in with the brick, so I have that.
Like a terracotta. We could hold up the color.
That terracotta color on the bottom part, and then get rid of that window right there and put some other window in it, or either just, I think I put in for like a round vent or something, and then replace, since it's so big, the other thing's going to be so much smaller, but replace the wood that's there, the old wood with, snap, it's like a map, we're going to have to try a map. And so I thought about painting the gable, the top part, like a nice green color, and trim it in like a real,
If you want to hold it up.
yeah. And then the porch also, like the bottom of the porch and the steps going up where the sidewalk is over on that side. So basically the bottom part that's with the brick around is going to be the terracotta color, and then some green for the porch, and that other is an addition on the back. That's going to be the terracotta color. And then green trimmed in white at the top page, and in the front also. Does that sound good? I don't know.
At least from the picture, to me, it sounds better than what it looks like now.
Yeah, it's terrible right now. Yeah, it really does. It's sort of like my neighbor who's an artist said it's more like part of the house.
Any comments, questions?
Everything in order?
Yes, everything is order.
The only thing I noticed, and I didn't mention it earlier, is that on the page here, with the estimates, is where it's crossed out, should it not be initialed?
If it was turned in like that, I wouldn't initial it. If it was changed by me, then it would be initialed. I believe it was turned in like that.
It was turned in like that, and then
Yeah.
they were gonna email you the other day.
Yeah, so it was turned in like this, so we wouldn't initial it in that case. I mean, we can, but this is how I received it.
Okay.
So.
Let me see that. I'd initial, me personally, if I got something scratched out, I would want something initialed, because who knows who scratched it out.
Right.
So if there's a scratch out, I would, irregardless of when it's turned in,
Okay.
I'm just saying, because if somebody comes back and says, well, I didn't scratch
2
that.
or 3 years ago, from now, it could be.
That's all. I'm just saying, as a practice, I would think it would be best practice that if you scratch
You initial it.
on any document, usually you'll need your initials, just to be safe, to guard for you. I would hate for, somebody to come back and say, or you sit there and say, I didn't do that,
Right.
type of thing. That's all, so.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so I'll get with Miss Renfro and have her initial.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm just saying, going forward, I would do that way. Everybody's treated the same. There's no difference. You initial all type of changes, and that way you know that, and we know it. And so there's no question.
Right. Okay.
And I think that's what we do with most official documents.
Right.
I think this can be considered an
Yes, it
official document.
Okay, let it rock and roll.
Make a motion to approve Ms. Renfro's grant request up to $1,318.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the grant requested by Ms. Renfro as received. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is passed.
Thank you.
And before we move on, I want to recognize Mr. Gardner again. He has been like our biggest advocate out there, and all of these are his neighbors. And he already had another neighbor, so it is the prettiest block, and it's going to be the prettiest block in High Springs for sure. So thank you for increasing the property values. That's the county.
We don't increase your taxes. You need to go talk to the property appraiser. We have no control over that.
It is pretty though. It is definitely a pretty. You wouldn't realize it was the same house.
In fact, the original owner, the Underwoods, she's 89, she stopped by to see it and she got down and she doesn't like it because it doesn't look like the house she was in.
Oh, of course, this is a different house for her.
Yeah.
I think it's nice.
Next item is to discuss and consider awarding the bid for James Hall Park stairs.
Yes, it is a very simplistic bid. We received one. Fortunately, this is the contractor we use for a lot of city projects, so we have all of his material already. So I have no questions in his ability. He did the steps for the right out there for the caboose. He also did the monument last year over there. I've spoken with him, and he knows exactly what we want. But I will bring back actual drawings and sketches before he gets started. So we will do that. But again, he was our only bid.
But he's done work in the past, haven't had any problems. He's
For a
fully
long time.
licensed, all that.
Jenny, how long has he worked with us?
Doing things. Mm-hmm.
Any questions or comments?
Make a motion to award the bid to build the stairways to the sinkhole to Jimmy Reed's Handyman Service.
Second.
Oh, I was just about to say, you look like you were deep in thought.
He's wondering how those stairs are going to be built.
Well, I mean, we'll have a diagram, and
Yes.
we're doing the thing in concept. I mean, I'd like to know where they're going. I mean,
Yeah, we will have a diagram. We will have like materials that are going to be used
and
before.
I knew that was
Yes.
coming. I'm just looking at it going, where's this? It's the yellow brick road. Where's it going to end?
Well, that's what I asked, were there any specs or anything, because,
Right.
you know, you're.
Yeah, we will get those before he starts.
See, I just thought she was over there pondering 2 + 2.
I did that earlier.
You've been doing so well,
I
Jason.
did that earlier.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to award the project for James Power Park stairs to Jimmy Reed's Handyman Service. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Nay. Motion passes.
Well, let me ask this, since we approved it and so forth. What exactly are these steps going to do? I mean, what is it going to allow somebody to do?
Walk down to the gazebo without falling. I mean, that's the goal.
So from the roadway to the gazebo
Yes.
is what it is? Okay, so
Yes.
it's not into the sink?
No.
Okay, I just want
No.
to clarify.
No. It is from the roadway right there
Okay.
to the gazebo where it
Should have
matches
asked that
up.
ahead of time, so I mean, that makes more sense as opposed to just walking down
Yeah,
into
no.
the center of the deal.
Yeah.
But we wanted to do stairs down in the sinkholes so kids could play.
I
down
got
there.
it, man.
That way, if it opened back up, you know.
If I'm a kid, I don't want stairs, I just want to go, so.
That's
okay,
right.
And
that
they can
makes
play with the
perfect sense.
pollution.
Okay, thank you,
All right.
thank you.
Welcome.
Item 3 is to discuss and consider a resolution regarding the City of High Springs, the TIF transfer.
Yes, Madam Chair. Up on the dais, you should all have a copy of a resolution that says High Springs CRA at the top. And
Yes.
recently, CRA staff, your executive director, myself, city staff, your finance director, your city attorney, Mr. Walker, and your chair, Chair Jones, all got together and were discussing financial practices of the CRA and things that your executive director and finance director have been working on since they've both come on board to kind of change how we handle our finances for the CRA, and also ideas for moving forward so we continue to use best practices and all work together in a collaborative manner to make sure that we're bringing you the best finances and the most transparent finances we can for you and for the public. So the resolution you've got before you just kind of outlines some of the practices they've already been doing, and also shows you some of the new practices that we discussed at that meeting. And so if you've got specific questions on that, your finance director here is sorry, I'm mumbling my words today. Your finance director is here and can answer any specific questions you've got on that. And in the back of the resolution is also a waiver for any taxing authority for any payment that was late this year. It waives the penalty for that on behalf of the CRA. So I think your finance director's got a few things she'd like to share with you.
One of the things, though, and I apologize because I know we were working up on this up to the minute that we came in here. One of the things that's not in here is the transfers back that we discussed. The quarterly transfers of expenditures is not in the resolution.
Yes. And we can put that in. We can.
You know which the part
yes.
I'm talking about. So we had discussed about, so there's very specific about when the revenues are to be transferred, but then there's a true up back because the city pays all the CRA expenditures from the get-go, and on top of that, we also transfer their revenues to their bank account. So pretty much it's kind of CRA heavy as far as money-wise in the beginning of the fiscal year. So what we were saying is quarterly, the first quarter ending December 31, all the expenditures up to that date will be transferred back to the city by January 31. Because it takes about 30 days to get all the bills in and all of that. And then it would be transferred back quarterly. So it would be transferred back by January 31, April, June, and then the last transfer will be at time of audit. once the audit's finished, then that last part of what the city has paid for the CRA will be transferred back to them. I hope I'm making sense to you all.
So basically, we're going to transfer all the CRA funds into a separate account. We're not going to pay anything out of that account. Everything's still going to be paid out of the city, and just every 3 months, we're going to transfer whatever money's been paid out on behalf of the CRA from the CRA fund to the general fund.
Yeah, I should let you say that.
So she'll-
See the smile on her face?
Yeah.
If Jason's got it.
Yeah, everybody has to have it. We're going to go tell the kindergartners that.
But yes, that's the only part that, that, like I said, we were looking at this right up to coming to this meeting, that all of a sudden I said, oh my gosh, I missed that. So that would need to be added to this.
And are y'all wanting to continue paying everything out of the city funds just to make it
Yes, because
easier as far as accounts payable?
Yeah, because the way the government funds, they have do funds, we have one bank account. So we pay all funds. We pay water, sewer, garbage. Everything is paid out of the general fund. And then they do this do from kind of thing, and then we make transfers.
Okay.
Okay.
But we're required in the CRA to transfer that money, which is kind of what makes this extra step of you transfer the money and then pay this and then transfer it back to the city.
Explain on page 2.
Sure.
Explain G for me, please.
So if you'll recall, there was a few years in the early 2000s where the city did not pay in the required TIF contribution to the CRA fund. And so in our interlocal agreement with the county that extended the term of this CRA, the city agreed that they would make the CRA whole for those 4 years. So the statute requires that the TIF contributions go in by January 1st, but there is no statutory provision for this repayment because that's kind of a something we've come up with between the city, the county, and the CRA. So what that says is even though it's not due on a specific date, that we will, for consistency's sake, we will pick a date and we'll always transfer that. I think it's like $39,000 and some change.
So my question is, so that's, to me, that is an ambiguous line, that the repayment to the CRA, does it need to require what repayment, what is it, and how long is this repayment going to last? To me, I'm assuming it goes for 3 years, 4 years. So to me, because when I said the repayment from the city of High Springs, to me, that's an ambiguous statement because when you explained it, I remembered.
So what we could put is the repayment pursuant to the interlocal agreement.
Yeah, I just want people to understand because this is like past money that was not transferred. You know what I'm trying to say? So we make sure the delineation between the funds, that this is just a repayment just to give it. These are funds that weren't paid. I don't know how specific we have to be, but I would think something, and will be paid back on any date for how long of a period. And it designate for the required 4 years remaining or something, somewhere to where this isn't an open-ended statement, but there's because I'm assuming it's, what is it, 4 years?
It's 5 years.
Okay. So, I mean, to me, I would, and I don't know, I'm asking the attorney, it seems to me I would want to put some type of thing in there so it's just not, there's no ending to it. When you read this, it's just like we're going to pay it back for perpetuity.
Okay, we could change it to the repayment to the CRA from the City of High Springs will be paid back annually on a designated date in accordance with the interlocal agreement with the county for the 5-year repayment period.
Yeah, that's perfect. And that's, I mean, just so it's something in there designated, so somebody sees it, they know what the repayment's about. D, CRA director shall approve all expenses of the CRA prior to payment. Explain that to me. Because in essence here, if there's something over a dollar amount, like the city manager has to get approval. So just explain the process, what you're saying there.
So since we kind of talked about, the money will go money comes in from the county, and then your finance director will take the money from the county, she'll take the city's contribution and move it to the
Right.
CRA. Then as expenses come in, whether that's invoices or payroll, whatever these expenses are of the CRA, your finance director pays. And so this is just saying that your executive director will be a part of that process before expenses are paid, so there's not an issue down the road. And that's in there. It also discusses that they're going to meet once a month
saw that,
to
and that's
review
good.
things, and so that way everybody's
So I read too much into things. So when I read this, it was sort of like, so it didn't say grants. When I saw expenses, I would think, would there need to be any other thing that says to approve all operating expenses or all something, or is that getting too finite?
I think this covers.
Is that, I'm asking, is that too finite?
To me, I think it's fine. I mean, to me, what I read into it is it just makes sure that finance and the CRA director are on the
Okay,
same
I mean,
page.
that's fine, because when I
That
first
way, if
read it,
there's
I'm
a
thinking.
question about it before we get 3 months, 6 months down the road, it's questioned right when it happens, and then we can figure out whether it needs to be paid.
And relate to that too, the executive director does the purchase order, so she's the one that determines what account it goes in. So that'll kind of help that, making sure that it's to the right line item.
Okay, it's just semantics of the expenses after I said it, so we're good.
Do you know what number this is?
I believe that this is your first resolution of the year, so I think this will be resolution 2017A.
Okay.
And luckily, the clerk is nodding her head, so I'm correct.
So we can approve this with the, because it'll have to be done again in second reading, right?
The resolutions only require one reading, so if there's going to be a motion approving, if you'll just make the motion approving resolution number 2017A with the changes as discussed.
So moved. Thank you.
No, you were good, man.
And so that would include the quarterly transfers, as we just discussed, and this update to the last whereas clause, paragraph G.
So this 39,000. It says on a designated date. What's the date?
So
Is it going to be at the same time that you transfer over the regular 75,000 that we do? Are they both going together? I mean, are we required by the interlocal? Is there a date that these no, you're right, you said it's
No,
not.
the
This one
interlocal
isn't.
does not require
So-
that, so I was going to leave that to staff's discretion, kind of what worked for them, where in the year that worked, unless
Give them a
you
little
direct,
wiggle room.
otherwise give them a little bit of wiggle room, but that once we set that date,
what-
that we stick with that, so everybody knows that's what's happening, and, when we're all retired
Who
and gone, the
Who
next.
decides the designated date?
If you would like to decide the
No, I'm not trying
I
to-
didn't know if that's what you.
I work with government.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, when you say,
Yeah, okay.
when you say on a designated
Staff's
date.
recommending March 31st. Is that?
31st.
Okay, I'm just saying, I would
Because then
rather
we're
have
gonna
a
be in our
date.
second quarter of truing up, so, yeah.
That's fine, I would rather have a date so it's not ambiguous to where it can get by.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's not, now you can put it on the calendar, May 31st, it's got to, or March 31st, it's got to be done. That's all.
We'll put
the
that change in
designated
there as
date-
well.
The designated date may just sort of slip by and nobody catches it. That's all.
Yep, that works.
Okay. I'll second it with this
With that
latest revision.
And add that to the original motion.
Is this by roll call?
Not a
No,
resolution.
not a resolution. I'm sorry?
It's a resolution the commission does.
Okay,
That's fine.
sure.
Chair Jones,
Yes.
Member Evans,
Yes.
Member James,
Yes?
Member Jameson,
Yes.
The resolution passed. Okay, item 4 is the legislative update and CRA response.
Yes, so if you will recall, back in April, we had a special meeting authorizing me to draft a letter that was sent to both the senators and the representatives in Tallahassee. Fortunately for us, Senate Bill 1770 failed to come up for a vote. House Bill 13 did come up for a vote, and it passed the House, and it was sent to the Senate. And the only reason that Senate Bill 1770 failed is they ran out of time. So that means that it's more than likely going to come up again next year. It'll probably be basically the same thing, only changed a little bit. So what I have drafted and what you see in front of you is our response to the 2017 proposed legislation, and it gives you a little bit more detail of what was in the legislation. Basically, what the legislation did, it did have some positives in it, in that it will require CRAs to do more evaluation. It tightens up some accounting practices like we just did. All CRAs will be required to do that. What the bill is bad for our CRA is that it is meant primarily for large metropolitan CRAs with large funds. And the requirements that they are requiring, the new auditing standards, the new reporting requirements, the new evaluation requirements, they're very expensive. So what I am proposing is that we do our own study this year. We have it in the budget, in our planning budget for this year. I'm asking up to $2,000, and that would be to bring in a statistician, I hate that word, to help develop different mechanisms for us to measure our success, and we can help draft this new legislation, and we can present this new legislation, because what they are calling for us to do, it is beyond our scope, and it would be extremely expensive every year to be able to do that. Because the main thing is they would require CRAs to have their own audits done. And as you know, auditing services are very expensive. And right now, we are audited, but we're audited as part of the city. So this would be requiring each CRA to have their own audit done. At the same time, the bill as presented is putting a cap on administrative costs. So our administrative costs would go up a lot while they are still trying to decrease it and making us decrease our administrative costs, and it would put us in such a bind that we really would not be able to operate as we are. So what this is just outlining our response, if you guys agree, and asking for permission to do a study this summer and collect data this summer.
Well, it's interesting that the legislature is going to require the CRAs to do a separate audit. However, we will still be required to include the CRA
Yes.
in ours because we're transferring funds and spending
Yes.
it. So it's almost like a double,
Yes.
like a double whammy.
Yes.
What will your study involve?
So the study, I will be looking at I sat down and I figured I collect about data on about 24 data sets. Everything from crime statistics to vacancy rates, property, changes in property value. And I will sit down with a statistician to come up with, for every dollar that we spend as a CRA, what is our rate of return? Because the numbers, they are very specific when they are asking in this bill what they want included, and it's impossible for us to calculate some of this. They are requesting that we calculate job growth. For every dollar we spend in the CRA, how many jobs are created? I don't even know where to begin and how that we could accurately say that, yes, we put someone's facade on for them, and so 0.2 jobs were created because of that. So it's things like that. They want to know changes in residential value. Right now, it's pretty easy for us to calculate changes in commercial values. It's not so easy to do the residential value, and they want not just taxable value, but they want commercial value changes, which is very difficult to get those numbers in. We get the changes in taxable value, we get those every year, but to get the changes in actual value and commercial value and resale value, that is very difficult and is very costly to get. other one that they wanted that is very difficult is, let me think. Private, they want to know how much private funds are invested in the CRA, not just with our programs, but in all, how much private funding is invested into the CRA. We do not collect that data. It would be very difficult for us to collect that data. We would have to go to every business that makes an improvement, even if we had nothing to do with it, and ask them, so how much money did you put into the district to get this? We collect data on, if we do a facade grant, how much does the recipient put in? We do a 50% match or more, or they do more than that. But we don't collect data on, if the Great Outdoors wants to put in new shutters, I have no way of knowing how much they invested into it.
So what are you wanting to do with the statistician? I mean, is this to try to start fulfilling what they're going to be requiring, or is this to show our representatives, hey, this is what we're doing, don't mess with what we got going on?
Exactly. What they would do is they would set up mechanisms so that once they're set up, we can just plug in the numbers. Like, they will come up with the formulas. They will look at it. I will do most of the data collection, so we'll save money on that. But that way, even if, I'm gone in 5 years, they'll still be able to use those same basic formulas to say, well, this is our success rate going forward. And then to go back to them and say, the data you're asking for does not accurately represent, but this is the data that we believe should be included in the bill. If you're going to include data in the bill, this is what we think is truly representative of CRAs.
And that way, it's elected representative, whatever asks, well, what good are CRAs? You have a concrete,
exactly.
Well, we've improved things this much.
Exactly. Exactly. And then also hitting on that, we will do a lot better job at reaching out to our representatives throughout the year, so it doesn't come down to April and it's crunch time and it's the first time that they've heard of the High Springs CRA. We will invite them to meetings. We will invite them to different events, so they can see that, we are successful. Fortunately, ours were pretty good this year, our representatives, but...
This is probably a ridiculous question. The deal is the audit considered administrative expenses?
Yes, it is.
Well, we just got dinged by the county that we spent too much on audit,
yes,
administrative expenses, and so now if this goes, I think there's a balance too. That you would have to sit there and go, you get this one here, and therefore we're going to pull our money because you're spending too much on administrative expenses, but we're managed. So I think that's.
Yes.
That was my thought.
Yes.
When I first read this, I was just thinking, we just got hammered saying you're increasing, but this requires us to increase it.
Correct. Part of the county, when they
extended... That wasn't ridiculous, was it?
Right. When the county extended when they extended our CRA for 2 years, we have to show that we are decreasing administrative costs. That's part of the agreement. So yes, the state would be mandating that we increase our administrative costs. The county is demanding that we decrease administrative costs. Mm-hmm.
But didn't we put some type of loophole, or not loophole, but some type of language in there that, if it was something that was required, or...
I believe we did, but the county is not going to like it if we...
The county doesn't like anything. No. We could have a goose that lays a golden egg, and they would complain, he only does it once a week.
No, they'd figure out how to get it. They'd figure out how to get it from us.
So what do you need us to do on this?
Just give me authorization to conduct the study. Like I said, it's already in the budget for this year. I just want to bring it in.
Current year or the...
It's in the budget for this year, 2017. So I would start it.
16, 17.
16, 17. It's in the budget. Mm-hmm. And this would be conducted the end of June. I've gotten a few quotes. The end of June through September is when we would do it.
Okay.
Make a motion to allow our executive director to complete a
evaluation study, something like that.
Study. Thank you. Ain't good for statistics. In fact, that's why I became a funeral director. I was sitting in statistics. This is boring. I want to get out of here, and it was not required.
Yeah, I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the director to be able to do this. What did we call it? Evaluation study. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. And we're now up to chair report, which I have none. I have no comments. Executive Director report.
All right, it has been a busy 2 months. So I wrote it down for you, and I will hit on the highlights. But I was wondering why I was tired until I started writing this. So we do have 2 outstanding grants, the commercial grants. And if you've been by Heartstrings, it is near completion. It should be finished very soon. I also wanted to bring up that the fire suppression loan program is turning out to be very complicated, and it will not be implemented this year. I have reached out to Gainesville, which has a similar program, but their funding is very different, and the model is very different than what we were looking to do. So it's not going to be much that I can use from Gainesville. And then every CRA that I've talked to that had this program, they are moving away from the loan programs just because they're so complex as to repayment. And then you start looking at if they don't repay, it gets very complex. So I actually have not found a CRA that is doing a loan program. The ones that have been doing it in the past couple of years have stopped doing it because of that. So,
Are there any CRAs that are doing grant for fire suppression?
Not for fire suppression, but they're doing it for like safety. They roll it into safety, or they'll do, what do they call it? Refurbishing of the inside, and they include that in their grant. Is that, as you know, the county was very much against this, and this is why we moved it from a grant program to a loan program. So.
I'm sorry for taking up time. I just think it's a good idea and something that would benefit High Springs, especially the way our businesses are downtown. Could we maybe next year, instead of calling it a fire suppression grant, do the refurbishing of the inside and just allow that to be something that's included in that? Come on. Dang.
From the Department of No.
Yeah. So, I mean, next year we'll have to definitely relook at this if this is something we still want to pursue, or if we want to take those funds and move it to something else. You know.
Until we get the county to approve it, I think we're just going to have to figure something else out.
Yeah. That might be how we have to do it for a couple of years. The murals are coming along nicely. I have the colors. Angela, if you want to bring up the murals. So everything has been finalized for the Bennett's True Value and for the Antique Center. These are the colors for and the design for the Antique Center. So as long as there's no objections, and you don't have to vote on them if you don't have any objections, it is the lower red and that white, which you can't really see too well. That is what the colors it would be painted, and it would have a black border, just like the one over at the old school.
So it's going to be that pattern, the red?
Yes. The red will be that pattern, and on the screen you really can't tell, but it's like an antique white, almost an oatmeal color. Yeah. So it's the red matches the little wagon that's out in front of her store. So she chose that color. And that is the Ohio Star, which you guys already voted on. And the second one is Bennett's. And theirs is the flag, the heart flag, and Angela can hold up the colors or show you the colors.
I'm assuming red, white, and blue.
Yep, red, white, and blue, and and a tan. And that one will have a black border too.
Jason got one for you.
Is that the color? Is that the bottom right?
Yeah, Angela, do you want to hold up the colors again? It's very similar to what is there. It is the lower blue, and then the red, the white, and
a pretty blue
to tan. Yeah. Oh, it's the upper red. See the darker red, and the darker blue.
Okay.
The old school sign is completed, and it will be installed next week as long as the weather cooperates. We had a little issue with the permit, but everything has been fixed and it's been signed off on. And it's finished. I've seen it. Looks beautiful. It'll be installed next week. Downtown landscaping, due to fire danger, we had to replace the mulch, and now it's raining. So, but the new mulch is much prettier anyway. It is pine nuggets, so shouldn't catch on fire now. So our downtown guy will have it completed. It's almost complete now, but by next week he'll have it completed, and we will be replacing some of the dead flowers next week and the week after as well. Most of the flowers look great, just a few of them. And then the DOT and sidewalk update. First, the DOT, they're doing a very good job downtown. You know, I've had very few complaints about DOT. We did have a complaint from the Grain Outdoors. They had some damage done to their irrigation system, but I'm working with DOT and the Great Outdoors to resolve it, and it's very low cost, so we're not concerned. And then the sidewalk contract has been executed. Yay! And it should be completed by March 1st. We'll be ready to go to bid. That is a conservative estimate because we're working with DOT. So hopefully it'll be less than that, but that's just on the other side. Community garden. I have met with Mr. Watson twice, and we are working on it. I contacted Gainesville to get their requirements for the garden, and we are working on what a lease would look like, what the policies would be in place, what watering policies would be in place so that people don't overwater. We're looking at somehow locking the watering if it's necessary, and then who will pay for watering. We're working on all that, and I'll meet with Mr. Booth when he comes back from vacation. Santa Fe will not be partnering for this project. It would be with Mr. Watson by himself.
Private venture?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so moving on. Our events and programs. Our Father's Day Blues is June 18th. It's a great program. The May Music in the Park was canceled due to weather, and then it ended up not raining. But it looked terrible, like it was going to rain, and we had all those kids, so we canceled it. We will also be hosting our first movie in the park with Parks and Recreation. If you remember a couple meetings ago, you had voted to buy a screen with Parks and Recreation. We haven't bought the screen, but we're going to try it out first with a company that does it in Alachua. They're coming, and it's not going to cost us anything to put up a screen to see what the reception is. And then we'll move forward from there. And then Folk in the Springs is September 17th, and we have the whole lineup already, but I will get that out to you in the next couple of months. Mr. Loveday wants me to hold on to it for a little bit before I release it. Economic development in the businesses. SCORE held their last workshop. Sorry, there is spelled wrong. On May 22nd, and there were 8 local businesses represented, and the next meeting is June 26th. And it has been a busy last couple of months in downtown High Springs. Our vacancy rate is very low right now, and we have a new law office, a new engineer, and a new antique store, and then, you know, Emerald Data is going in also in the CRA district. And we've had 2 relocations from within the CRA to the CRA. So they just moved locations in the CRA, and that is FPS Survival has moved from right here on the corner to 441, still in the CRA district, and Caring Pharmacy has moved from the First Avenue to next to the liquor store. Okay, the doctor's office. You can get all your medicinal needs. And then
I know who the new law office is, but who's the new engineer?
His name is Jenny. Do you remember?
He's got that sign out front that says engineer.
He has moved into the FPS, the old survival store, next to Crazy Cow.
Okay.
So yeah, stop in and see him. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I want to introduce Ms. Bakaitis, who is from the Alachua CRA. She is the coordinator over there, and we've met a couple of times to discuss different things that we have. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, thank you for having me. So I was hired in January, early February, to work with the Alachua CRA. We have I guess, my job is to implement the market study and plan that we recently created. So hopefully we can start doing more in our downtown and coordinating with you guys. So thank you.
Good deal.
Yes, so we're going to steal their ideas, and they're going to steal our ideas, and we'll come up with some new ones.
And then we're going to gang up and take over the county.
Yes, with Newberry when they finally get their CRA. And I also want to let you know that I will be presenting to Alachua County Commission on August 22nd. If anyone wants to come, Ms. Jones will also be there, and Ms. Johnson. And we will be doing, as part of our agreement, we have to go every year and just give an update on what we are doing. So it'll just be a brief presentation on August 22nd at 9 a.m. So anyone want to join us, you're welcome. And then Ms. Johnson and I have been asked to present at the annual redevelopment conference in October, and we will be presenting on our CRA extension. There are a lot of CRAs coming up for extension, and we did very well, obviously. We're a model, so that will be in October. And
Where will that be?
It'll be in Daytona Beach.
Oh.
Yeah. So it should be fun.
It wasn't in Daytona when
I
know. We got some dinky hotel.
It was a nice hotel, just
Well, it was in the middle
Orlando.
of a squat, though.
Yes, it was.
Like, here's more concrete and more concrete.
And then on a personal note, I will be on vacation next week, and I'll have limited cell service and limited Wi-Fi, but I will check my email and phone at least once a day. So, and that's all I have.
Very good.
Very good.
You've been busy.
Yeah.
Yes. Upside down. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I just wanted to ask one question. Do we have any money in the budget to buy umbrellas? Like put CRA logo on it? Because I know there's some people that don't have it. Well, I don't need them. I'm just, there's certain people that I know that do.
Actually, the umbrellas, the new ones would really be nice.
The reverse one.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's on my list to get.
We might be able to find some in
I gotta get
operating
one of those.
expenses.
Sorry, I didn't.
Marketing.
I don't want to throw one. Motion to adjourn.
It is
All right.
7:29.